Gentrification. What does it mean exactly? The Oxford Dictionary defines it as the process whereby the character of a poor urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing, and attracting new businesses, typically displacing current inhabitants in the process. Although accurate, the elements and effects of gentrification spread wider than just a single poor urban area. Present-day conditions of gentrification stem from the decisions made in the past, a combination of urban renewal and prejudice of social and racial bias. To better understand present-day conditions, taking a look into the past helps reveal patterns that perpetuate the oppressive cycle of the lower class. During the early 20th century, the Great Migration would occur across America. 6 million African Americans relocated from rural southern states to the more industrial northern states. This period would bring about the development of minority communities in cities across the United States. Neighborhoods with elements of education and recreation, as well as a strong cultural identity being created. However, segregation, lack of investment, and institutional racism would leave many communities housed in ghettos with little to no options for relocation or development. Approaching the 1950s, a drive for urban renewal in cities across the United States was being implemented. The Housing Act of 1949 would bring federal funding for slum clearing and housing development. Multiple housing and development amendments would take place over the next 20 years, with continual focus towards pushing minority communities outward. This would label large minority areas as blighted property, providing developers with streamlined access to the existing land for development. In total, from 1949 to 1966, 300,000 Americans would be displaced as a result. Shifting from 1970 to present day, conditions of displacement begin to move towards private development and financial instability. In many cases, lower income homes often have fiscal pressures that again leave little to no options for stable living. Communities try to maintain what they can for as long as they can, but this compounded with the lack of government spending or disinterest of investors causes deterioration and depreciation. Neighborhoods begin to break down over time, and more people leave the neighborhood rather than moving in. Buildings become abandoned and eventually demolished. At some point, the paradigm shifts, and these communities of burden then become opportunities for investors. Because of depreciation, real estate is cheap, and the potential return on investment can be very high. Properties are then brought up. New residents and businesses start popping up all through the neighborhood. Investments to public services and parks increase as well. On the surface, gentrification could be considered a positive change. The neighborhood is being rebuilt and revitalized. However, the effects of these changes can disrupt the social and demographic stability of a community. As the area becomes more attractive to outside clientele, everything begins to increase in value, which in turn raises the rent for the whole area. Eventually, financial pressures drive out the remaining residents. It becomes apparent that gentrification is an invasive development practice, displacing people from their homes and communities for the sole benefit of financial gain. Development for the most part cannot be stopped. Therefore, the change can come from how we design our cities.
We provide you here a master plan of our integration with a centralized infrastructure that provides benefit for the community, boosting the opportunities for the citizens in a series of phases. Phase 1. The node will be the starting area in which the goal would be to develop key positions in which residents are the focus for the overall improvement of these communities. Phase 2. Identifying and supporting the existing structure these communities provide, such as existing public housing complexes and multifamily townhomes. These resemble affordability and provide stability for many families. Phase 3. Upon locating resilient structures to keep, planning redevelopment is the next step. Areas that are too run down or in need of redevelopment become sites for new development and investment. We will bisect each block, creating community corridors, which will replace private yards and the social divide that comes with them, directing social interaction inwards, facilitating relationships between old and new residents of diverse social and economic backgrounds. Phase 4. A major element of the Urban Oasis is to provide equal opportunity for low to medium income families. By distributing affordable housing, we hope to achieve and provide the means for existing and new residents to live and continue to live in these neighborhoods and ultimately benefit from the redevelopment. Phase 5. Finally, To achieve economic stimulation in these areas, we plan for the development of mixed-use high-end residential, which would consist of an activated ground level for commercial use, as well as rentable high-end housing. This will overall activate the neighborhood and attract talent, adding to the value of these areas. The process would be implemented in neighborhoods across the city. As these areas achieve revitalization, the impact will radiate, in turn, allowing these areas to act as pioneer examples of the perfect atmosphere that benefit not only the residents, but generations to come. This same method of development will become the standard moving forward. These areas will grow, and communities will begin to connect. These areas do not describe the redevelopment of the block or the neighborhood. It's the goal to which we aim to achieve: a more revitalized and definitive reconstruction, an urban oasis.